Hello, so I'm back again with another video. In this one, we're going to be looking at the Gorton and Denton by-election debate that happened on the BBC last night, I believe. Just a short clip from it of Hannah talking and then Matt coming back at her, who's the Green Party candidate and the Reform Party candidate. So let's get into that now and see what unfolds.
I mean, it's understandable that people are angry about the current immigration system. I'm really angry about it. I don't like seeing my taxes be spent on a system that is costing us £6 million a day to put people in hotels. That is unfair when your kids can't get on the housing ladder. But it's unfair for the people who've come here, who want to work, who've got skills, and we've got a skills shortage in some areas. We're not letting people work. There is divisive politics from Reform that is making our immigrant neighbours and our immigrant communities really scared. But this has been started as well by Keir Starmer, calling us an island of strangers. And yet I know the communities that I've lived in that are very, very varied across Gorton and Denton, we're not an island of strangers. We're people who get along with each other and we muddle along and we look after each other and we work hard, and that should get you a nice life. And at the moment it doesn't, because our taxes are being spent on an immigration system that is so broken. It costs us about £6 million a day, and it has been set up by previous governments that are just refusing to take any responsibility for it. I want a fair system that listens to people like us, that understands our concerns, and that treats everybody as human beings.
Sorry, Hannah,
So she's touched on a few things there. She's talked about how many millions that is spent on migration with the hotels and how that's unfair on the public, which is a good way to relate to people that aren't currently going to vote Green, to potentially pull them over from Reform or from the Labour Party. And then she also talks about the unity and how it's more of a class consciousness, and how, you know, people in her working class community, obviously her being a plumber, helps with the sort of the class argument that she's a working class woman in Manchester, and they all come together as a community, so they're not as hostile and sectarian with their groupings. So she's made a good point there. And then also calling back Keir Starmer to the Island of Strangers speech, which he referenced, which apparently he wasn't aware. He didn't know that was a thing. I don't know how you become Prime Minister of our country without knowing Enoch Powell's most famous speech. That causes other huge red flags, but I don't think we need to worry about Labour in this by-election, to be honest. It does look like Green versus Reform, and I think Greens might take this one, which would be pretty good.
About listening to people, who in this country is calling for a policy of open borders, which the Greens want to impose on Britain?
We don't think it's unrealistic to have a world where people aren't forced to leave their homes,
so you
or
do
where
agree
they need
you're
to
calling
come
for
here,
open borders,
or where
then?
they need to come here for a better life.
Right.
Everybody should be able to stay where they are.
There you have it. Open borders. You think Gorton and Denton wants open borders?
That's not what we're saying. We're saying we want a world where nobody has to flee their homes for safety. And we have a proud history in Greater Manchester, despite what you may say, of welcoming people and looking after our immigrant neighbours and recognising how much they make our communities
Nobody
stronger.
in Greater Manchester wants open borders, Hannah.
Jackie, were you wanting to come in there?
I was just going to...
So he's always going to attack the Green Party on that, to be fair, because it is in the manifesto of the Green Party that in an ideal world they do want open borders. That's something they're working towards, which, as a socialist, obviously I do agree with. I think in a just and fair world, you shouldn't be dictated to where you can and can't go based off arbitrary rules. However, in a practical sense, that's not a realistic thing, especially not right now. That would take a long time to persuade the public of, to enact that policy. So she's done well there without just saying, yes, I want open borders. She says, well, no, all we want is freedom of movement to a large degree, and you shouldn't have to be fearful of the people coming into our country. Just the same way that anybody can leave this country if they choose to. A lot of wealthy people do choose to do that. For instance, obviously in the news recently, Radcliffe, the owner of Man United and Ineos, He's registered in Monaco, so he pays very little to no tax in the UK. But then he talks about how it's being colonised by immigrants, when he himself is an immigrant, technically. An economic migrant, which is the worst kind of migrant to them, because they're coming here to leech off our system. Whereas he's leeching off our system by making money here and then declaring it somewhere else and then paying no tax. So, yeah, he's the real problem.
I mean, I spent many years working on the board of Manchester Council for Community Relations, and there we had people from all faith groups, all of the different ethnic groups, working together for Manchester through some very difficult times. The fact is, Manchester is a place where people do want to work together with their friends, with their neighbours, and get on with each other. So, the division that people are trying to make is just not right. We are a city where lots of different groups do rub along well together, and we are proud to have our neighbours from all over the world.
And
there we go. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the whole video, really. So, obviously, the lady who interjected there, I believe she's the Lib Dem. I believe she's the Lib Dem candidate for Gorton and Denton. Yeah, so she's obviously got absolutely no chance of winning, but she's doing a good job at agreeing in a way with the Greens and saying, oh no, we do have tight-knit communities in Gorton and Denton, and we do look out for each other. So just dismissing the reform point without even, she's battling in that argument for the Greens without actually being a Green, so that helps. But yeah, it's going to be a close one. I'm not a Green Party member, but again, Hannah's clearly the best candidate for Gorton and Denton, and it would push back on reform as well as Labour. Did you notice that in that clip, the Labour candidate didn't say a word? Like, I haven't seen the full debate, so I don't know how she performed, but she's got an impossible task, really. I think the mass majority of people are disenfranchised now by that Labour Party. So, even though they're in third place for this by-election, I can't see them. I can't see them winning this one. So yeah, it's not the end of the world if Reform win this seat, but it would be a big blow. I think it sends a clear message if Greens do manage to win this seat, that the left won't kowtow to the right, and we're not going to give up, which can only be a good thing. So thanks for stopping by. That's my second video, and there'll be many more to come. See you in the next one.